All right. Hey, welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. And here we go. All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It is a solo show today. Eric's obviously traveling back from the game, but man, knock them out. Lions were on it last night. Had to get my boxer pose today because it was a heavyweight fight last night and the Detroit Lions showed up big time. And you know what else showed up big time was this sign right here. The Rise and Grind Morning Show, something that's been a staple for many people in the morning. And shout out to Eric, man. Yeah, it doesn't sound like paper. But yeah, made it to national TV last night behind Jared Goff doing his pregame press interview. It was pretty cool. It was a moment that I didn't expect. But I tell you, those lenses, man, they add about 100 pounds to you when they're doing all those weird close-up shots of Jared Goff. But it was such an incredible night, an incredible evening. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to get into some stats and more. Let me get this thing off. Weighs like 20 pounds. Anyway, we're going to get into some stats and some more things this morning. We're going to talk about what happened at the game. Obviously, PFF's not even ready yet. PFF still doesn't have their stuff together. I don't know why they're so slow after a Monday night game, but I guess it's better to be accurate than inaccurate. And I'm going to apologize about my voice because it is still gone. It was so loud in there last night. I couldn't hear myself think. All right, so let's do this. Detroit Lions last night, man, they took on one of their arch nemesis, the Seattle Seahawks, who just plain and simple have just had our number for years. And I thought that the Lions were going to finally do it last night. We got out to a great start, hot start. But I tell you what, is it just me or did those refs really try to keep the Seahawks in this game? I mean, there was some more mythical, calls. I mean, plays that just didn't exist. Calls on the field that didn't happen. And I don't know the total number of penalties called. Maybe I can look that up real quick. Because it didn't seem like the Lions got any penalties called last night. I mean, hardly any, anyway. Looking at ESPN here, I'm not really seeing where they keep track of the penalties. I guess I'll come back to that. But it seemed like the Seattle Seahawks could not get near the end zone without a handful of penalties called. The only way that the Seahawks could score is if there was a couple penalties called. And that was the theme of the night. There was a lot of penalties called last night that were just, outlandish, I guess it's a word I could use, but that really doesn't describe it. Egregious, fraudulent. I think that's probably a better word. It's quite fraudulent by these refs last night. Now there was a couple of penalties I felt that were maybe makeup calls, right? But it's always a little bit too late. I mean, they really kept the Seahawks into this game up until the end, and I know the score doesn't reflect it. And it was an amazing win for the Lions, but at the tail end of this game, I think everybody in the stands kind of had that feeling, that feeling in your throat like it's going to happen again. They're going to let them right back in this game. And they're going to have an opportunity. And they did have an opportunity to win. Had the Lions not secured that interception, that safety was giving them the perfect opportunity to come back down and score and get that game within an opportunity of one more touchdown to tie it and eventually probably win. But thankfully, Kirby pulled down the interception again, saving the day. Because even though we won by 13 points, that was the closest 13 points I think I've ever felt. I know it probably sounds stupid, but maybe some of you guys feel the same way. Yeah, Wayne, I can't wait to hear the game today. The announcing crew 100% favored Seattle. Why am I not surprised? Should I be surprised? You don't even get a little hometown advantage. I think that the home team should be allowed to pick the crew, the broadcast crew. 1,000%. I think that they should be able to select the people that they want representing, their team, their city, their stadium, even though it's a game for two teams. I still think that you should be able to have one of maybe one of each. You know, if you've got, hey, a little Seahawk favor, great. A little Lions favor, awesome. Put them together. Put boxing gloves on them while you're at it. Yeah, Brent, I saw myself on TV. I was watching the beginning of the game, and then a couple of the guys from the old Bulge Army were sending me some messages, and that was kind of neat. But that camera makes me look terrible. It absolutely made me look terrible. It's all right, though. The only thing that mattered to me is we got the Rise of Grind morning show on there. Maybe we'll catch a few more subscribers from it. We'll see. But ESPN was all over us. I mean, Eric and I were all over the place. ESPN, NFL Network. I mean, everybody was out there, and they were getting us on camera on the big board. Eric made the big board. Eric did the flag crew to start the game. Just an all around epic day, and I can't thank Eric enough for he bought me this ticket. So not only did he buy me this ticket, he ordered this Rise and Grind thing. He had custom made. He had 2 of them custom made, and so shout out to him, man. I can't thank him enough. Yesterday was the game on cancer, and of course I had to put up my little sheet there of who I think about the most, myself and Megan and my sister and Earl Hodwalker and others that really either touched my life this year, or people that we've helped represent through Rock On Cancer Foundation, and people that I love dearly in my life. That have been affected by cancer recently. And then, of course, everybody, everyone that's been affected by cancer. So I think it's an amazing thing that Game on Cancer does, and the Detroit Lions do, representing so many people that came on the field last night, and, for themselves or others that have been, touched by cancer. It's an emotional moment, and it makes you reflect a lot. And you're just thankful that you still have those people a part of your life. My sister's still here. And of course, Megan is still here. And I'm still here battling. But that's why this channel means so much to me. And, of course, Rock On Cancer Foundation is my purpose in life. And I'm going to continue to pursue it with good, wholesome people and content that surrounds that. So, anyway, good morning to everybody in the chat. I'd go through all your names this morning, but I don't even think I'd make it because my voice it's ready to give out already. So let's start with this. Jared Goff, man, the most perfect game I've ever seen from a quarterback, because it was perfect. He was absolutely in control last night. Couldn't miss. I mean, there was a couple of near faults for Jared Goff, if you will, that were rescued by penalties, or rescued by the defense doing something that helped out Jared Goff have another opportunity. But he couldn't miss. And so for anybody that's been doubting Jared Goff, I mean, I think the tape has proved it every single year. He has either started extremely hot to start a season, and then he cools off, and then he gets hot again, which is usually the third quarter of the season is when he cools off the most. Or he starts a little bit slow, and he just slowly kind of ramps up throughout the season. And here we are into week 4, and Jared Goff is already hitting his stride. What he did last night was not only an NFL record, the most attempts thrown perfectly, but it should have been a perfect QBR. And it was at one point. And I really don't understand the QBR thing, but I wanted to read it to you. This is how they figure out QBR. It's just weird. I really don't know who came up with this, but I think, again, it should be based on stats, not this what if situation. But it examines all of the quarterback's contributions to the game. So like their expected points attempted, or expected or points expected. ESPN had this to say. It says total quarterback rating was released in 2011. Never claimed to be perfect, you think? But unlike other measures of quarterback performance, it incorporates all of a quarterback's contributions to winning, including how he impacts the game on passes, rushes, turnovers, and penalties. Okay, so let's think about that. He passed for 2. He ran, or he caught 1. So he had a reception in the game. No turnovers. And pretty sure Jared didn't have any penalties. So if those are the only 4 tools, or the 4, vehicles, if you will, to measure this, is that not perfect? You telling me that his game wasn't better than Baker Mayfield's? Doesn't make any sense. So it says a QBR is built from the play level. It accounts for a team's level of success or failure on every play to provide the proper context and then allocates credit to the quarterback and his teammate to produce a clear measure of quarterback efficiency. I mean, 18 of 18 is pretty efficient to me. Almost 300 yards is pretty efficient. Winning a game by 13 points is pretty efficient. It doesn't make any sense. So even when you throw for a perfect game, which Baker didn't do, he doesn't get a perfect QBR. I guess I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. All right, let's get through some of the stats here for the rest of the game. So Jared Goff, of course, 18 of 18, 292 yards, 16.2 average per pass. Incredible stat. 2 TDs, no interceptions, 3 sacks for 26 yards. According to ESPN, his QBR was a 95.1 with a 155.8 passer rating. Almost a perfect passer rating. I think passer rating tops out at 158.3 or something like that. But an amazing QBR. I mean, that 95.1, I don't know how much better it gets than that. If 100 is the tops, I mean, he's pretty damn close, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 for 78 on the night, 5.6 average. Another night where Jahmyr Gibbs goes over 5 yards a carry, 2 TDs. David Montgomery, 12 of 40, 3.3 yard average. Now, David didn't have the best of nights last night, but when the Lions needed it, it was there. When he needed to do something, he arrived. He did it. Jared Goff, 2 carries for -2 yards. That's expected. Jameson Williams, man, another huge night for this kid. I don't know that he necessarily deserved the game ball last night. I'm pretty sure Jared Goff deserved the game ball last night, and I think Dan Campbell kind of recognized that after the fact when he was during the press conference. He didn't realize that Jared Goff was perfect. I don't know how you don't know that. I don't know how anybody doesn't communicate that during the game, but it is what it is. Jameson's catch over the middle was, I mean, it was a thing of beauty. The fact that you give him any little bit of space, he is going to break you for a touchdown on just about any play with that speed. And then super fun to watch him shout out Calvin Johnson last night with the slam dunk over the goalpost. It kind of brings you back. And man, speaking of Calvin Johnson, last night it almost brought you to tears for a moment, being a Lions fan and just watching everything that Calvin did, listening, to people talk about him and watching some of his plays and putting yourself back into that moment for a minute of when Calvin Johnson was arguably the best wide receiver to ever play the game at the time. Probably still is. And I mean, at least in my heart, he would always, be 1-2 punch up there. I mean, he's tops. He doesn't get it. He's the, the standard. If you listen to, like Dan Patrick or Rich Eisen or, others that talk about the standard of an NFL wide receiver, he's the standard. I mean, he set the standard. Mike O'Hara, I think, also mentioned the same thing. And he still is the standard. It's extremely hard to find a receiver that has that set of skills, that type of speed, that type of size. DK Metcalf is about as close as it gets. And he's not even as close. He's not even close at all to Calvin. He's not even sniffing what Calvin, is left behind. So, yeah, so much love for Megatron last night, Craig Hogg. Absolute goated, humble, just a humble guy. Great family, fun to watch. Gave us a couple of nods and a couple of high fives, or not high fives, but waved at us last night. St. Brown gave me a little high five last night. That was kind of cool, man. He ran by. Penny Sewell noticed the Rise and Grind Warning Show. Who else was out there that noticed it? I put it in the chat last night, but there was quite a few players that, Jared Goff, he kind of gave the look. He tried to throw me his towel at the end of the game, but there was a guy that come down that wasn't in those seats that snagged it in front of me. I'm not going to fight for it. It is what it is. Good times, though. Good times. Great seats. Great seats. Again, shout out to Eric for making that happen last night. Brock Wright. Brock Wright showed up for a couple of catches last night. 2 for 13. David Montgomery, 1 for 40. Huge catch and run by David Montgomery. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 of 45 and a touchdown of beauty. I mean, that toe drag swag was just absolutely incredible last night by Amon-Ra. Perfect concentration on the ball. Nice placement by Jared Goff. Could have been a little high, but, at least it's in a spot where nobody else is going to catch it. But Amon-Ra was all by himself. Tim Patrick came alive last night, 2 for 52. What have I been saying all season? We needed another guy with size. We needed somebody that could go up and get the ball and make plays. And you saw Tim Patrick do it last night. Whether he was making plays over the middle or closer to the boundary, having a taller wide receiver is exactly what this offense has been missing. He bust out 2 for 52, 26 yards a catch last night. He had a long of 29. He was perfect on his targets, of course, just like everybody else. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Just can't breathe, man. Still struggling from yesterday. So all in all, this is not going to be my best show today. I feel like crap. But an amazing performance by the Detroit Lions. We finally get this monkey off of our backs. We put the Seattle Seahawks to bed. It's time to move on into the bye week. We've got bigger games coming up. My biggest concern right now are the refs. It's not Ben Johnson's terrible play call, which I'm going to talk about next. It's not Dan Campbell gambling, on plays. It's the refs. Last night, there was so many bad calls that it allows teams to hang around in games where they shouldn't. This game shouldn't even have been this close. The Lions should have won by 20 plus. They were that good. But to rise above it, which is what the Lions did, try to take the refs out of the game, which is what the Lions did, they were able to pull the win down last night, which was big. Towards the end of the game, some questionable play calls, some amazing play calls. Number one, Jared Goff's catch, St. Brown's throw, thing of beauty. Eric and I are sitting right there in that corner. That touchdown happened right in our corner. And I was recording it, and then people stood up, so I kind of missed him catch the ball, which sucks, but there's enough of it on the internet, right? He was literally laughing when he got around that corner. When he got around the corner, right, and he broke free. I think it was in front of a linebacker. I don't remember who it was in front of now. When he got in front of him, he was literally laughing his way to the end zone. At least that's what it looked like. Maybe it was just a smile, but he was literally laughing, and it was absolutely hilarious to watch him. I mean, he caught the ball perfectly too. I mean, it's like the guy's played some receiver in his life. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, shout out to Philippines On Demand. Says the refs don't even try to hide it anymore. They don't. They are very bold and brazen about what they're doing. It's completely asinine. But not to take anything away from Jared Goff for a moment here. Thing of beauty. Like, last night was the Ben Johnson that I've been asking for. I kept saying it's time for Ben to show us that he's a mixologist again. It's time for him to get in there and mix up the plays. And he did that. He came out of the box, reached into his bag, and started getting after it. I mean, he was dialing up perfect call after perfect call after perfect call. And then there was some plays that I was like, well, wait a second. What just happened? What just happened to the Ben Johnson that we watched the majority of the game? The game is now on the line. It is the final few minutes of this game. The refs are clearly trying to dictate this game's ending. They're allowing the Seahawks to try to get back into this game. And you may not have felt it as much at home, but it sure felt that way in the stadium. I mean, the BSs were flying. The whole stadium was calling BS multiple times throughout this game. And before I go further, let me touch on the horse collar thing. So Christopher Cunningham, the horse collar thing, apparently, you know, in 2005, the NFL outlawed the horse collar tackle. But apparently it only applies to everybody outside of the pocket. If the quarterback is in the pocket, you can horse collar him and pull him down. It doesn't make any sense, NFL. You talk about player safety. The quarterbacks are the guys that probably make you the most money in this NFL, in the league. Without good quarterbacks, you're not going to have receivers doing anything. So why wouldn't you protect the quarterback in the pocket from a horse collar instead of the running back or the wide receiver that's running outside of the pocket from a horse collar? Because that's who you're protecting. It doesn't make any sense. So the play was perfectly legal. Perfectly legal. So, yeah, it's not so much about the whiplash, Philippines. It's more so getting bent backwards like that. I mean, there's so many different things. There's knees that can be impacted. I mean, landing funny on a shoulder, on an elbow, which can cause an AC joint problem. You know, landing hard on your wrist, trying to catch your fall going backwards, head slamming to the ground, being pulled down. I mean, there's a lot of different things. And whiplash can absolutely happen without running. It's not like you're running full speed and someone just yanks you. You know, it's not like the hook in the cartoon here. It's not what it's like here. I mean, just pulling somebody down, you could definitely give them whiplash. But that's not what this is about. There's a dozen other injuries that can happen from that play. A dozen, at least, I'm sure. So let's talk about the play that I was most concerned about last night. So the Lions are backed up in the end zone. Now, forgive me, let me go to the play-by-play here. This is when we had the safety. So the Lions are 1st and 10 from the 4, right? We run it with Montgomery off to the right side. And then we go to 2nd and 10 after a timeout. And Ben Johnson decides to throw the ball. Throw the ball. What are we doing? Why are we throwing the ball at the 4-yard line? You have two of the best running backs in the league. And you throw the ball. You don't usually throw the ball until you get above the 6-yard line. You need space. You need room. Your quarterback needs to be able to drop back and not end up in the end zone. Didn't we learn that from Dan Orlovsky? You do not want your quarterback dropping back into the end zone. Period. Point blank, that is the worst case scenario for any team. I don't care how good your quarterback is. I don't care how mobile your quarterback is. Dropping back in the end zone is a recipe for disaster. It always has been. Now, I don't know if I would agree that Jared Goff didn't get out of the end zone, because all that needs to happen is the ball has to break the plane and no part of your body can be touching the ground. I haven't seen a replay yet, so I don't know if that happened or not. But let's just assume it didn't happen. The problem here is that you drop back to throw the ball, and it wasn't Jared Goff calling this play. It's Ben Johnson. So, and I made a post last night, and I said, you know, these are the types of plays that boggle my mind, right? That Ben Johnson is I mean, the play was just stupid. And that Dan Campbell's kind of losing respect here for allowing Ben to call these plays. You can't win a championship with this type of play calling. Like, you have to be better than this. You can't go 90% of a game calling it perfectly, and then that 10% can screw you up. So even though we had an amazing win, yes, we could talk about 100 things that are positive and bright and beautiful. We're going to have some criticisms too. It's part of the game. That's what the Lions are doing today. They are self-critiquing themselves. They're going through the tape. They're going through the penalties. They're addressing all the little situations. They're getting ready for their Tuesday meetings. They're going to go through their debriefing. They're going to figure out what they did right, what they did wrong, and they're going to fix what? Not what they did right. They're going to fix what they did wrong. And in my opinion, this was an extremely bad play call. This is not a gamble. Like, you're not trying to catch Seattle cheating up and you're trying to, dump it over the top. And maybe they were. Maybe they were just trying to dump it over the top. I don't even remember who was out there on that play because I haven't watched the tape. But, Maybe they were trying to catch J-Mo in space and he's going to run it for 100 yards. I don't know. But you don't pass the ball there. You just don't. What you normally would do is you would bring in your jumbo set, right? You'd bring in multiple tight ends, 3 tight ends. Hell, you could even probably have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery back there and bring in a few tight ends. You line up in the triangle behind the line of scrimmage, right? Between the tackles, you get your triangle going and you bang it forward. It's power on power at this point. You just bang it forward. You push it for 2-3 yards. You push it for 3-4 yards. You get a first down. Game's over at that point. All you needed was a first down right there. And I think they might have needed one more, but the game could have been over with a first down at that point. Super shout out $4.99 to Ed O'Neill. Appreciate you, buddy. He says that Ben Johnson's inconsistency continues to blow my mind. This is going back to the Chicago game last year. Dallas can't defend the run. No nonsense with them. I agree, buddy. Look, Ben Johnson, beautiful, beautiful game last night. Like, beautiful. Give this dude his flowers all day and twice on Sundays. Beautiful play call. Like, the way that he called the game is exactly what we needed to see out of Ben because it's been a little herky-jerky to start the season. But beautiful job. It's just those types of plays makes you wonder, what the hell were they thinking? Like, seriously, what were you thinking trying to throw the ball there? Maybe on third down, if you really had to. But even then, I think that you would want to try to, at least run the ball for a couple of yards if you had to punt the ball. You got one of the best punters in the league. It is what it is. Play's over. I hope we don't see it again. But that gave the Seahawks their 2-point conversion, right? That they needed on the touchdown before. I think that they missed the 2-point conversion. Can't happen. Now, thankfully, the Lions backed it up on the very next series with Seattle with the Kirby Joseph interception, which locked up the game. So if we go back and look at it, there was 2 minutes and 5 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Lions run the ball, or Lions go to pass the ball, and the safety happens at 2:01. So, yeah, you run the ball right there. The clock's running down to the 2-minute warning. You get to the 2-minute warning. You've got one more play. It's 3rd and 10. Now the clock is going to go down. Assuming the Seahawks had all their timeouts, they're going to call a timeout. So you probably have, a minute 55, a minute 56 left on the clock. And then it's 4th down. And then it's either, you're punting the ball or you've gotten your first down on 3rd down. There's a lot of different scenarios that go into this. But the last scenario is throwing the ball on 2nd down. That is the absolute last thing I think any of us wanted to see. Glenn Wilkerson says, I still disagree with the call change. What happened to forward progress? Yeah, so I haven't seen the play. I'm going to watch it today. And we're supposed to do tape review the day after the games, or the 2 days after the game. So tape review, I'm going to try to pull it off tonight. We should be able to do it tonight, assuming everything is up. Right now, Next Gen Stats, PFF is a little bit behind. Like, they don't have anything up and running right now. I'm not real sure why they are so late. But I wanted to go into some of the Next Gen Stats and take a look at what they said about last night's game. Wanted to see how much time Jared Goff had, because he really was operating at a high level last night. Let me finish stats on the other side of the ball first, though. So, Geno. Look, Geno is a hell of a quarterback. The dude is extremely good. At his age, a lot of people wrote him off. He's a really good quarterback. I think that Seattle really got lucky, by giving him a chance, taking a chance. He went up a really good defense last night. I mean, we gave him every body blow we could. Like I said, this was a heavyweight fight. Seattle Seahawks are going to be there in the end. They're going to be there in the playoffs. I guarantee it. They're going to continue to contend the rest of the season. This is a good football team. We were just better by all accounts. The Detroit Lions finally showed up. And shout out to those jerseys, too, because now that I'm seeing a play right now, the absolute best jerseys I've ever seen the Detroit Lions wear. Hands down. The absolute best. And that helmet, I mean, that helmet just has to be our helmet. Has to be. Like, you can't go any further another game without wearing this helmet. Like, why on earth can't we have this helmet be every game? Another shout out to Tracy gifting 5 more Detroit Lions memberships. Look at that. Ed O'Neill, who just gave us a super chat. He got a membership. Richard Blakely, Mark Dolly, Rob Brown, Derek Struble. I swear Derek Struble was already into the membership, but super shout out to you, Tracy. Always appreciate you. I think now we're up to about 130 memberships. I'll have to double check it. I got to redo the membership video today, and we'll get that rolling out there. Appreciate you, Trace, as always. So Geno Smith tossed the ball 56 times last night. It's exactly what the Detroit Lions are trying to do to this team. We knew going into this game that they were not going to be able to run the ball. Now, Kenneth Walker, darn him, he screwed up my prediction. You know, I did not think that we were going to allow him 65 yards on the ground. But what happened last night is what I didn't expect the Lions to do, which is that stupid bend but don't break defense, zone scheme, allowing Kenneth Walker to get way too many yards, way too many yards after contact. And he played lights out, man. Absolutely played lights out last night. Kenneth Walker is dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Had a great game. But he went 12 for 80. Super shout out to Chris MVP Harris, $1.99. He didn't leave us a message, but hey, I'm just going to say this. Chris probably had no respect for those Seattle Seahawks last night. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you. So Kenneth Walker, great game. Ran hard, tough to take down. Acrobatic style of making plays happen last night. I'm down, I'm not down, I'm down, I'm not down. He's doing somersaults, he's doing front flips, he's doing all this weird stuff on the field, but he's not going down. And he just made things happen with his legs. I'm gonna have to go ahead and say Walker would be fun on this team, but I would say that Kenneth Walker and Jahmyr Gibbs are probably two of the same style of running backs. Even though Walker can be a bruiser, I would feel that Gibbs and Walker are probably closer together. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But I don't think I'd want anybody other than Demo right now. I'm glad we got David Montgomery. I really like what he's brought to this team. But Geno, look, he didn't break us with his legs, but he still went for 38 yards on the ground last night. And that's pretty safe containment. And I'll talk about the defense here in just a minute because there was a few things in this defensive side of the ball. And again, I haven't rewatched the tape. So tonight, if you want to get in and watch the tape, you'll have an opportunity one more week. I'll open it up to everybody. We only had 12 people in last week. I'm opening it up to all 100 members or 130 members. We should have 100 people in there. If you guys have the time tonight at 7 p.m., we're going to review the tape. I think I got the pen thing finally figured out. Chef told me about another program, so I'm going to try it tonight, and we'll roll with it. But without going through the tape, right, I can't comment on everything, but I will say this on the defensive side of the ball, which I'll go into more in a minute. Way too much over pursuit last night. Way too much. Losing containment. Davenport really missed in this game. Really missed. This is a much different game with Davenport in this game. Pascal played well, but I don't know how well yet. DK Metcalf went for 104 yards. This is not surprising. You want to talk about a guy that is, fun to watch. DK, man, I swear his arms go down to his feet. The guy can catch a ball which looks like it's 10 feet outside, and he's snagging it. Fun receiver to watch. Extremely powerful receiver to watch. Thing that I'm more excited about is the Lions didn't suffer a bunch of injuries last night. This was a very professionally played game. Let's just leave it at that. I didn't see a bunch of intentional crap going on. Tyler Lockett, 5 of 61. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 8 of 51. Zach Charbonnet, 5 of 39. Kenneth Walker, 4 of 36. Jake Bobo, 3 of 30. A.J. Barner, 2 of 27. Noah Fant, 2 of 26. I mean, just about everybody on this Seattle Seahawks offense touched the ball last night. That is the mark of a good quarterback. He was operating at a high level, Geno was. He was getting the ball out to everybody. Everybody was involved in this offense. They did absolutely everything that they could to try to contend with the Lions last night, and they just couldn't. They just couldn't match us where we were playing this bend but don't break defense and this zone scheme, which I absolutely hated last night. It was just enough. It was just enough to keep these guys in front. But it'd be interesting to see how much zone we did play compared to previous games, because this is a game I thought the Lions probably would have matched up a little bit better with man. But as you guys may or may not remember, my call was to play a little bit of man inside zone. So I wanted to see a little bit of man on certain players, and then zone scheme the rest of it to try to keep, a guy on Geno, the quote unquote spy, what I call a spy. It's not your traditional sense of a spy. It's just one of the linebackers or one of the DBs or both. Typically it's not a DB, has to be able to stay home a little bit here on Geno. They have to be kind of, hovering, playing a little bit of a zone scheme in the middle of the defense, working between the tackles, but ready to go outside in either direction, following Geno, making sure nothing gets over the middle, no tight end crap over the middle. And the Lions were kind of getting beat there for a moment too, but tackling I felt was an issue last night. Another super shout out to Ed O'Neill, $4.99. He says, does watching Ben Johnson school McDonald make you more comfortable with the Lions offense outperforming Brian Flores? Branch missed, in my opinion. Super shout out to you again, Ed. And that is a phenomenal question. I was going to say, let me clear my throat. And that song kept bouncing in my head there. The DJ was playing it at our tailgate last night. Yes, it does make me feel more comfortable. It absolutely does. McDonald's defense is for real. That entire team is for real. They're not frauds. I mean, I think a lot of us had questioned, has Seattle been tested? Have they really played anybody throughout the first 3 weeks of the season? And I think the answer is yes. I think that they are for real. And I think that their defense is for real. It's just the Lions were just on a different level last night. I mean, if your quarterback's going 18 for 18, that's not an indictment so much on the defense. That is Jared Goff seeing the field. That is Jared Goff picking apart, or picking his spots, being smart, intentional, doing what he needed to do when he needed to do it. He's kind of playing with bubbles underneath his feet. He was moving, right? Jared Goff was not getting too set. He wasn't getting, his feet were not in concrete last night. He kept bouncing to make plays. When we see Jared Goff bouncing a little bit, he's got that little bump in his step. He's kind of bobbing up and down a little. He's not set, but he's kind of bouncing and setting at the same time. When he's up kind of on his tippy toes, getting that ball out, that's when Jared Goff is dialing it in. And in last night, we had saw that. Jared Goff was dialing it in. We went up-tempo a little bit. I felt more in the first half of the game where he was trying to get the ball out much quicker. And then we kind of settled in a little bit more into the fourth quarter. But not to get too far off, I was talking about Seattle third quarter. I'll come back to that in just a moment. So Geno Smith, to kind of finish out on the Seahawks game last night, look, he played a great game. I mean, all of his players did well. Kenneth Walker did well. I mean, Zach Charbonnet was very limited, in this game. He was more involved in the pass game, which is what we expect out of Zach. But Kenneth Walker, for his first game back, I mean, he went over 100 yards all purpose on the night. You can't expect more out of having two guys go for over 100 all purpose. DK Metcalf 104, Kenneth Walker about 126 yards on the night. I mean, what more do you want? I mean, that they had a great game. The Lions just played better. The Lions just did a little bit extra when they needed to. And I feel like that's it's good coaching, right? It's good play calling. It's Ben Johnson finally being a mixologist. You just got to fix the 10%, of the game last night that could have got you in trouble. What did get us in trouble was on the defensive side of the ball at times. And I felt like there's a consistency problem here. and that's Terrion Arnold. But I'm going to give 50% of the credit here to the damn refs. They're calling this ticky-tacky stuff. They're calling stuff that doesn't even exist. But there's been a consistent problem every single week, and that is Terrion Arnold. And Terrion Arnold, no, I'm not like giving up on the dude. I'm not saying that, there's, the house is burning down here. I said it in the very beginning of the season, preseason, that Terrion Arnold is going to have some problems. He's going to have some penalties. He's going to make some mistakes. Just don't get down on the guy. Continue to leave his confidence high, because if he starts seeing all this negative energy out there in the media, if he starts seeing all the negative energy from content creators, that is what's going to bury Terrion Arnold. And if you care about your team, you probably don't want to do that. Probably don't want to put a bunch of negative energy out of there. If anything, it's constructive criticism to just say, look, man, you've just got to keep your hands in your pockets, man. You are now targeted by the refs. 1,000% through 4 weeks. I think you have the most pass interference penalties in the league. You now have to understand that you are targeted the rest of the season. They are looking for you. If you breathe the wrong, on the wrong person, they're throwing a flag. If they don't like the color of your socks, they're throwing a flag. Well, literally, that's an NFL thing, but you get what I'm saying. You tie your shoes the wrong way, they're throwing a flag. So Terrion has just got to play with his head on a swivel, and literally he's got to get his head around. He has to. On every play. He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. We got 91 people watching, 33 likes. Let's get the likes up. We shouldn't have ads on. I apologize. Do I got ads on? I might. I'll turn ads off. Let's get these likes up to 50 before I get back here in about 30 seconds, and then we'll leave ads off. I apologize here. Let me get them off. We like to keep ads off so you guys have a seamless interaction with the show. It's not my best show today. I feel like crap. I'm tired. I don't have a voice. So we're trying to get through it. All right, little shout out to our sponsor here, Yooperlites. I'll be right back here. 30 seconds.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Yooperlites, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from Yooperlites.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Yooperlites, with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit Yooperlites.com for all your UV flashlight needs, with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from Yooperlites.com.
All right, and we're back, and thank you again to Eric last night, man. What an awesome gift. Since we got a lot more people watching, right? Let me show you guys. So if you didn't see it on TV last night, this is the necklace, right? That Eric had custom made for us. Made national TV last night. Badass, dude. Absolutely love it. It's battery operated. As you can see, it's on right now. This is the coolest gift I think I've ever received. From someone that I just met, less than 4 months ago. So pretty cool, man. All right. Where were we at? Defense. So again, I got to watch the tape today, and we're going to at 7 p.m. tonight with the members of the channel. But this defense last night, a lot of over pursuit from what I could tell from, watching the game live. But there's one dude last night that absolutely blew up the right side of their offense, and that was Aiden Hutchinson. Now, he didn't get a bunch of sacks, right? He didn't have a bunch of negative plays. But what he did do is he bull rushed that right tackle and probably got a bunch of pressures. I don't know how many, because PFF has not put anything out yet. But he absolutely terrorized the right side of that offensive line. We couldn't finish, and that's why I'm curious to find out tonight why we didn't have a linebacker off that side. So some of my notes when I was sitting there last night, let me pull them up. So my notes is no stunts, not enough linebacker DB blitz. Obviously too much zone, too many penalties. But no stunts. I didn't see any stunts off the left side of the defense. And more importantly, I didn't see, a linebacker, flopping to the outside of Aiden. I mean, Aiden was getting a really good bull rush off the left side of the defense. Why were we not flipping a linebacker on the outside to trail him? I felt like that would have been your best opportunity to get to Geno. I think that we are trying to use more of the 4-down linemen to get to Geno and kind of let it happen more naturally, which, I mean, that's a great plan to have. You're not overcommitting, but I felt like our guys were overcommitting a little bit. And when when Aiden gets too far north, Geno's able to escape the pocket. But what I saw last night, I mean, if this is Geno, right? I mean, he's literally surrounded and he's just dancing in this pocket. No one's reaching out an arm to try to get him. They're not disengaging to try to, collapse the pocket, one side or the other. Geno, the dude is an escape artist, absolute magician with what he was able to do inside that pocket last night. So I want to see more out of Aiden, when he has these opportunities, and he's had, good season so far, but, I guess I would also throw that same caution out there. And I'm not the only one that has brought this up. Just like when you talk about the Seahawks, have they been tested? Has Aiden been tested all season? Answer the question honestly. He's gone up against third-tier offensive linemen this entire season so far, through 4 weeks. Has he been tested? What is going to happen when he goes up against a top-tier offensive line? Is he going to have success? Right now, I don't know. Again, I got to watch the tape tonight, but I think Aiden played a pretty solid game. The way that he was blowing up, he did everything that he needed to do to affect his side of the defensive line or the offensive line, just not finishing. Now, playing with gap integrity, right? Not losing your rushing lanes, maintaining containment. At times last night was an issue on both sides of the ball. Josh Paschal showed up at times. I seen Josh Paschal on the wrong side of the defense. He's starting on the left and he's finishing, on the other side of the hash, all on the boundary, 30 yards the other direction. I mean, great hustle play, but my question is, why is he way over there? Alex Anzalone at times last night looked a little suspect in his, first game back, but played with a high motor. I feel like he made a lot of good plays at times, but man, we missed a lot over the middle. Way too much. This defense by Aaron Glenn that they ran last night is my least favorite. And I hope the tape tells me something different. I hope that it just says the Seattle Seahawks were just that good and we didn't have a bunch of missed tackles, because I have a feeling we had a bunch of missed tackles last night, and especially over the middle of the field, and missed opportunities. A lot of breakdowns. Yeah, Houston. Let's talk about James Houston. I think there is a problem. Like, literally, I think there is a problem. One, I think James Houston's confidence is in the dirt. I think that this team has kind of wasted, I don't know where the blame lies. Maybe AG's pissed off at him. Maybe AG just doesn't like him. But I think that there is some internal disputes with Houston right now. I think that his confidence is in the trash or in the dirt, whatever analogy you want to use. He's not playing the same. Now, I did see a couple of plays last night where it looked like he had some pretty good bend, still had some pretty good speed off the edge, but he was in tight to the defense. Why is he not out in the wide nine a little bit more? And I didn't see enough wide nine last night. I thought that our Lions defense plays much better, or at least Aiden does, from a wide nine stance. And the other side, you got that better angle. And last night it was more of a I don't know how to phrase it. It was more of a north-south push, that it felt like the angle that the Lions were trying to do versus a wider angle push towards the pocket. An angled blade snowplow versus, a flat blade snowplow. I mean, that's the difference. You're trying to push north and south, or are you trying to collapse and flip the W like I say? Last night, I didn't see that. I didn't see the wide nine flip. And that's my terminology. That is not an NFL terminology by any means. It's just what I used to call it. So overall, I mean, I thought it was a good defensive performance, but let's just see how good. Kirby Joseph, obviously defensive player of the game, 9 total tackles on the night, 5 solo, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defensed, and of course, 1 interception. Amik the Freak Robertson, man, he had an incredible game last night. Again, we'll see what happens in the tape. You know, how much liability was he in the passing game? What did he give up? I really don't know yet. But he had 2 passes defensed, 8 total tackles, 8 solo. The fact that he has a lot of solo tackles, I mean, tells you that, you know, he's obviously was targeted quite a bit in the passing game, but without knowing those stats, I don't know for sure. Let me refresh the screen and see if PFF has woke up yet. Nope, still says grades are pending review and it's locked. Great. No information. Jack Campbell, 7 total tackles, 6 solo, 1 tackle for loss. Alex Anzalone, 7 tackles, 5 solo, 1 pass defense, 2 quarterback hits. Brandon Joseph, 6 total, 5 solo. Malcolm Rodriguez, man, dude showed up last night, huh? Can't forget about old Malcolm. 5 total, 4 solo, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 1 quarterback hit, which the TFL, the sack, and the quarterback hit should have all been the same play. Terry and Arnold, 5 total, 4 solo, 1 pass defense, and that was a nice play by him on that pass. Levi, he showed up last night. 3 total, 2 solo, half a sack, and a quarterback hit. Who else? So Lee McNeil had the other half a sack on that play. DJ Reader had a sack last night. So in total, I mean, the Lions finished with 3 sacks, but they were kind of, you know, in spurts. The Lions weren't getting great push the entire time. You know, they weren't affecting the quarterback the entire time. Let me pull up NFL Pro and see if we can't get to at least some next-gen stats and look at the pressures on the night. Again, I apologize about today's show, man. It's kind of all over the place today. No structure today. All right, let's see here. All right, we got some stats here on JG. So according to Next Gen, this is what they're talking about with JG. We'll start with him first. Jared Goff completed every pass he threw in the Lions' 42-29 win over the Seattle Seahawks, finishing 18 for 18, plus 21.9 CPOE. And the odds of Goff completing all 18 passes based on the completion probability of each attempt, 1 in 145. So you had a 0.69% chance of doing that. 0.69%. Goff's 21.9 completion percentage over the expected is the highest mark in a game of his career. Goff was most production. That doesn't make any sense. Goff's most production on play action, 12 of 12, 229 yards and a TD. So he had his most production on play action. If you guys remember from the pregame show, one of the biggest things that I said that the Lions needed to do in this game was get the run game developed, get it rolling, and then open up play action and just let them dial it up. And that's exactly what Goff was able to do last night. And hey, NFL Pro backs me up on this and said that was where his most production lies last night was in play action pass. Now, on dropbacks over 2.5 seconds, he was 15 of 15, 250 yards, and 2 TDs. So when he had 2.5 seconds or more in a dropback scenario, that was his second highest production of the night. And then against the blitz, go figure, Jared was 8 of 8, 203 yards, and a TD. Goff also added a 7-yard receiving touchdown on a pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown. What a pass, too. I mean, come on, Amon-Ra. What can't you do? What can't this guy do? I mean, the dude does everything. Let me get into, I want to find time to throw and all that good jazz here. Let me find it here. All right, so quarterback pressure rate, week 4. Time to throw. Wow. Jared Goff last night had the most time to throw he's had all season. 3.8 seconds on average. 3.08 seconds, sorry. That ranked him 6th in the league last night. Brock Purdy had almost 3.5 seconds. Sam Darnold, 3.21. Justin Fields, 3.19. Josh Allen, 3.14. Jordan Love and Jared Goff tied at 3.08. So they're tied for 5th place. Now that's interesting to me. So let me ask you guys something. And I'm not saying we need to deal without Frank Ragnow, because I don't want that to happen. But we just had the most productive offensive line from a time to throw perspective. Goff's best game of his career, best game of the season, perfect in just about every category, protected the ball very well, no turnovers, and Frank Ragnow's out of the game. You know who deserves my game ball of the night? Take a guess. Who do you think deserves my game ball? Not that my game ball matters, but it's just something fun that I do. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, Brent. Good morning, Christopher. Good morning, Orner, U of M Dad. So you guys are saying Goff, Glasgow, Awasaka. You're getting close. You're getting close. Who deserves the game ball last night? Just based off the fact of what I just stated there. The best game by this offensive line, without looking at, PFF scores or anything. The time to throw, to me, is the most important stat line for a quarterback, because it explains a lot. It explains a lot. 1, Jared's putting himself in a good situation. 2, the offensive line is putting him in a good situation. There it is. Morale Tarantino just got it. Hank Fraley would get my game ball of the night. And there is zero dispute for this play of the offensive line. Zero dispute. Hank Fraley is the absolute best offensive line coach in the NFL. And I've been saying this now for a couple of years. And we don't know if Hank Fraley's gotten a bump in salary. But Sheila Hamp, I am begging you right now. I'm imploring you. Beg is kind of a strong word. I'm imploring you to please get Hank a bonus. Lock this guy up for a little bit longer. At least through 2029. At least through Goff's, contract. Please. Because Hank Fraley is exactly who you want leading your offensive line. This guy is going to make an offensive coordinator at some point. And maybe, who knows, sometime way down the line, he could be a head coach. Who knows? I don't know if he wants to go that far. Right now, he's been one of the best offensive line coaches, and now the best, in my opinion, over the last several years. Excellent job by Hank, man, getting this team ready. And the way that this run game has come alive, that is all good graces due to Hank Fraley in making sure this offensive line knows what to do and when to do it. Let's look at pressure rate. Jared Goff was middle of the pack last night. He was pressured on 33.3% of plays. Now, he did take 3 sacks last night. Man, I would say that the sacks were, maybe that's probably why his QBR was a little bit lower. Maybe that's why his quarterback rating, for whatever reason, was not perfect. Passer rating, that is. But taking 3 sacks last night from a defense that was missing a lot of players, probably not warranted, but you know what? It was better that he didn't try to just ditch the ball and, take a negative play, with a fumble or, throwing an interception. He ate it. He probably heard the cries of the fans. I said it last week too, dude, you just got to eat it. You just got to take it. Who cares? You lose a couple of yards, but at least you're not losing a possession. So he ate it last night. Excellent job by Jared Goff, man. Excellent job. The 3 sacks don't bother me. They really don't. Completion percent over expected. So I don't even know how to really explain that. Let me see if I can get some help here. Man, we got the doors open this morning in the studio. Feels great. Weather is awesome today. So if we were to look at an example or a definition of CPOE, let me see if I can get it. It should be right here. So CPOE from Next Gen Stats aims to contextualize how good a quarterback's completion percentage is while controlling for the difficulty of the throws they attempt. CPOE accounts for air distance, distance from the sideline, target separation from the nearest defender, the quarterback's distance from the closest pass rusher, pass speed, and time to throw. So if you can remember all of that, Jared was number 1 last night. Number 1. Which means the dude was dialing it up. He was hitting on all cylinders, and then he hit the turbo, maybe threw a little nitrous on top of it. Dude was dialing it up last night. Great game. Completion percentage, 100%. I've never seen it. I think when I did my research last night, it was like 2019 might have been the last time we saw a few players do it. Deshaun Watson, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson come to mind. I think Josh Allen might have been sprinkled in there. And I think 2009 was the year that it was last done. Ben Roethlisberger, I think, was on that list. And that would have been from years ago, prior to 2019. So excellent work. Rating, obviously, ranked number 1 in the league, 155.8. Let's look at some other stats here by Next Gen. Receiving here. Let's see here. All right, so receiving expected points added. So the REPA, average separation. So target separation last night. David Montgomery had the third most separation, which was 6.9. Jahmyr Gibbs was 7th, 6.1. Here's the issue for our defense. Zach Charbonnet, he was 6th last night. Man, the rest of our receivers are way down. They're not even on the first page. We're just not getting a ton of separation, but I mean, it didn't seem like it affected him. Sam Laporta was 47th. Man, nobody else is in the top 50 for the Lions. So not a ton of separation. That's not great, but they still made it work. Average air yards per target last night. Lions didn't rank very well there either, but Jamison Williams ranked 11th. 11th in the league last night. He was 14 air yards on average per target. Obviously, that one big reception is what put him over the top. Now, this is on the season, though. So let me look at week 4. Average separation in week 4. Yeah, Lions aren't anywhere in the top. Sam Laporta is ranked 32nd. Sam Laporta came alive last night. I thought he played well. Thought he had a good game. Now, let me back up just a minute because Goff did make NFL history, and I don't think that I touched on this enough. So shout out to Tim Twentyman. I'm going to read his article real quick. Talks about Jared Goff being the first quarterback in NFL history to attempt more than 10 passes in a game without throwing an incompletion. Goff was as perfect as you could be throwing the football on Monday night in Detroit's 42-29 win over Seattle. He finished 18 of 18 for 292 yards, no touchdowns, and a passer rating of 155.8. And the performance didn't even earn Goff a game ball from head coach Dan Campbell. I'm just going to say Dan Campbell probably expects Goff to be perfect, right? But I mean, that is truly perfect. I think Dan Campbell obviously made a mistake. He didn't realize just how good it was. But quote was this: "Yeah, well, I just gave the game ball to somebody else, so I feel awful right now." Dan Campbell said with a smile after the game. "Well, I knew he played a heck of a game. I did not realize he was perfect. I did not know he was literally 18 for 18, but I knew he played really well. You could feel it, and he really found his rhythm early, and I thought that he was seeing the field, played with rhythm. He had to move a little bit in the pocket, which, Goff did. Eric last night, he put the baby giraffe. It was a baby giraffe on his sign, and he was trying to get everybody's attention. There was a few people that noticed it, loved it. He got a lot of signatures from some Lions on that sign, so they saw it. But what I call, Jared, is the broken giraffe. When he runs, he kind of runs like broken, and he looks like a giraffe. We don't like to see Jared Goff run, but it's a thing of beauty when he does, because he usually does something with his legs that helps out the team. It was hilarious. It was hilarious last night. So I was going to bring in Dan Campbell and kind of go through the press conference. I'm going to save that all for when I have a little bit more of a voice, I guess. Because right now I think my voice has run out. We did a little bit of a recap today. Not my best show, especially after a big win. I was hoping to have a much better show today, but I just don't have it, man. Long night, drove home last night, so probably should have stayed in Detroit. Had the opportunity to, just decided to get home. I wanted to get this done. There's some other things that we're going to have to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about it right now, but there's some things that are being said right now that I'm not real happy about. Some of you may know what it is. There's some flat out lies, defamation, and slander going on that I'm not going to let survive. It's going to be dealt with in a manner that I see fit. They may not like it, but it's going to be dealt with. And whether I choose to do that on air or whether I choose to do that behind closed doors with men in suits, we'll figure it out. But we don't do anything outside of that. My name is attached. My likeness is attached to the Rocked On Cancer Foundation. My purpose in life is helping other people. I'm a good, wholesome dude. I do good things for others. That's what this channel is all about. And then it'll never stop doing that. So to hear defamation and slander, it's disheartening. It really is. Whether it's jealousy, envy, hate, whatever. I don't know what it is. But sometimes some things get said that shouldn't be said. And we'll see where it goes. But it's going to be dealt with here pretty quickly. And we'll leave it at that. If I decide to address it publicly, I will. But don't believe in the things that you hear, because they're simply not true. I have plenty of records, plenty of receipts, plenty of text messages, plenty of voice notes that prove otherwise. And whether I share that publicly or not, I will let the men in the suits tell me what I need to do. Anyway, it's great to see the Lions going in this direction, heading into the bye week, where this couldn't have been a more perfect situation for the Lions. You're injured. You've got some big injuries that you're battling right now. You've got a couple of weeks now before you have to travel to Dallas. That is the next biggest game that the Lions are going to have to figure out a way to win, is in Dallas. That is our next Achilles heel. The Lions have had the roughest start to a season, competition-wise. We're taking on playoff team after playoff team after playoff team. The Seattle Seahawks were not frauds. Very tough team. The Lions just showed up. They were a much better team. So getting into Dallas and getting a win has to happen. Now, I'm going to have to change what I thought the Lions were going to do this year. I thought that they would drop a game to the Texans. I thought that they were going to drop a game to the Cardinals. Who was the other team? And I guess before I get off, let me update my wins. I got off to a very bad start in the 1 p.m. games on Sunday. I ended up finishing 9-8 on the week. So I'm 36-29 overall on my pick'ems for the year, which, you know what, I'm not mad at. I'm perfectly comfortable with where that's headed right now. Where I rank in the the national competition here. Well, I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am tied for 9th, but really I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, tied for 5th in the country right now. With Jason Reed, Mike Clay, Kimberly Martin, Stephanie Bell, DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, Jamie Eisenberg. They're all behind me. Pete Prisco's behind me. Where is Jeremy Fowler? He's the guy that I'm going up against. He's got one more win on me right now at 37. I've got 36. The leaders right now in the country are Matt Bowen with ESPN, Doug Burrell, Gridiron Experts, Dan Graziano with ESPN, and Gridiron Experts and ESPN, they're sitting at 39 and 38. CBS Sports, Ryan Wilson sitting at 37. Jeremy Fowler, 37. Will Rock at 36. So Matt Bowen, he's on the target list. He's got 41, which means I'm going to have some really good weeks. But where I was going with this is, where did I pick the Lions losing this year? So in the preseason, I had the Lions losing to Arizona, the Texans, and the Vikings. That was it. 14-3. That's where I saw. And the Vikings was week 18. So that was a game where I felt the Lions were going to be able to rest some players, and it was going to be a game that really didn't matter a whole lot. That's the only reason why I felt that the Lions were going to lose that game. But I also said that the Vikings were going to be an extremely difficult team this year. If they started Sam Darnold and they stuck with Sam Darnold, that was going to be the team to beat in the North. And right now they've proven that. So now that I look at the Texans and how they're kind of so-so, they're not world beaters right now. Their defense hasn't really figured it out. And their offense is struggling at times, and they battle a few injuries. So right now, with the Lions going up or down to Houston in week 9, I don't know that I'm as concerned. So I might have to make some adjustments with my in-season prediction. But we are done with quarter one. So our quarter one report will come out on Thursday. We're going to dissect all the teams on Thursday's morning show, the Rise and Grind morning show, starting at 8 a.m. It'll be at least a 2-hour show, but it is going to be the quarterly report, or maybe we'll do it on Friday. I'm not real sure. I think that Eric has a little bit more time on Fridays. I'll get with him today. If he has more time on Friday versus Thursday, we'll do it on Friday. But the quarter one report will come out this week, where we're going to break down all the different teams and the Lions schedule and where they're headed next. It's just going to take a few days to prepare, and we'll be ready for it either Thursday or Friday. So 36 and 29 of my pick'ems for the year. I'm not mad, man. I bounced from 11th up to 5th. If I would have just had a better 1 p.m. time slot on Monday with my picks, I went loss for loss to start the day. I could have been sitting at number 1 right now, but hey, can't win them all. But what I do know we can win is the hearts and minds of the people that are supporting the Rocked On Cancer Foundation. Please visit buymeacoffee.com/Rocked On. We have quite a few raffles still rolling. The Aiden Hutchinson blackout jacket. There's also the female version of that with some nice big blue sparkles. Got a lot of attention last night at the draft. We had them hung up in our tent. There's Billy Sims autographed helmet. There's Penei Sewell. There's Chris Spielman. Penei Sewell is going to get added again today for this week. There's Jameson Williams jerseys. There's all sorts of stuff that we're adding. And there's a lot of things up there for raffle. They're only $5 a ticket. Get them today. Some of these raffles are going to be ending here soon, and you don't want to miss out. But that's all for today's show. I apologize for the herky-jerky nature of today's show. It's just, it's the Monday after on a Tuesday, and no sleep. So we'll see you guys all tomorrow. After some rest, we'll get ready and rocking and rolling. We'll review it one more time before we roll in to the quarterly report, because this week we don't have a game to prep for. Lions are on vacation for a week, and then we're looking forward to Dallas. So you guys enjoy your victory Tuesday. Lions are now 3-1, tied for first place in the NFC North, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.